Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Epsilon 2022. I'm Anushka Gaikwad, Joint Secretary at IEEE SIESGST.
And I am Amay Mali, Technical Head at IEEE SIESGST. We are delighted to be your host for second iteration of this flagship event, Epsilon 2022, wherein our main goal is to provide an organized learning atmosphere and share technical information surrounding the theme, the Internet Spectrum.
We anticipate that the last session on blockchain security provided a wealth of new knowledge for you all to explore. So, welcome everyone. We believe that this session, an introduction to cybersecurity, will offer you a lot of knowledge and expose you to many new ideas. And now, under the CS track, we have the first talk session entitled Insights of the Cyberworld.
Also, before we begin, just a little information for the attendees. The tasks and quizzes we prepared for each day of our symposium will put the participants to the knowledge of topics presented in each session to the test. Each action is worth a certain number of points, and players will be rated based on them in order to compete with the scoreboard. Everyone who participates will receive a certificate, and the best scorers will win exciting goodies. Now, let's begin with the most awaited session by welcoming our guest speaker for the day.
So, for today's session, we have with us Mr. Kanishk Gaur. Mr. Kanishk Gaur is a renowned cybersecurity, public policy, and digital technology expert based in New Delhi, India. He has served as a host on leading international news channels and TV shows and is also a TEDx speaker. He also serves as an advisor to government agencies and private businesses. As a founder of India Future Foundation, he works towards the awareness and prevention of cybercrime and internet based threats. Welcome, sir. We are thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, sir.
Thank you
Happy
so
to
much.
have you here.
Thank you so much. Great. Thank you so much for the introduction. Appreciate you people taking out time and your keen interest in organizing this session. My name is Kanishk Gaur. I am going to be your host today, and I will be discussing on issues around cybersecurity with you today. So, what we have seen, especially during the pandemic, that there has been a rise in cyber attacks. The cyber attacks not just impact organizations today, but also impact individuals. The consumer frauds has been on the rise. Every day we hear so much amount of data being lost by people losing money. Uh, we see people frauding digital identity, appearing as your friends, and then asking for money. People clicking on malicious link. Just before the session today in the morning, I received a call from one of my friends. One of his employees lost 80,000 rupees on a app called as Zest app, where he had registered for a loan. So instead of receiving the loan, somebody used his identity to withdraw money from his bank account because he had subscribed for EMIs. We have also seen there has been a rise in Chinese loan apps today, where people get easy loans without taking collaterals. But as soon as you take loans from these apps, they apply crazy amount of interest rates, and people are charged up to 35% of interest rates, and then they follow you. So today, in the digital world, it's very important for you to not fall prey to different kind of cyber threat vectors. The youth of India remains vulnerable to cyber attacks because once you lose money, it's very difficult to get that money back. And we've seen people also being bullied, harassed, their fraudulent identities being created, and very little support we receive from police organizations. So prevention is the best way today. We've also seen that cryptocurrencies have crashed. We've seen 70 to 80% money being lost in cryptocurrencies, and a lot of cryptocurrencies which were promising money, uh, they have declined drastically, and people have lost money. Also, platforms which are promoting cryptocurrencies and are under tremendous threat today, with ED, enforcement directorate doing investigations, freezing their bank account. We recently saw what's happening with WazirX. So we need to be sure in terms of what we subscribe online, what we share with people. So my today's session is going to be focused on how do you protect yourself in the digital world today. That's going to be
Absolutely.
the purpose of the presentation that I'm going to share with you today. I hope
Okay.
everyone is able to see my screen.
Yeah, so before we
Hello.
start the session, let me just tell the attendees that the session will last for 90 minutes before the quiz. We'll provide a link to the quiz on the YouTube live chat within the final 30 minutes of the session.
So, without further ado, we'll like Mr. Kanishk Gaur to kick off the session.
Sure, thank you. So the today's session is going to be on insights of the cyber world. So if you look at, we must understand what is internet today. Uh, Internet is a network of connected computers, right? So internet was invented by DARPA, which is the defense organization of US, and it was earlier a part of a military program which was then made public. So today, internet is empowering the economy of the world, not just India, and multiple new jobs are getting created through internet. Uh, Hence, digital identity becomes important. So, before we discuss why digital identity becomes important, let's understand what is digital identity. All the information you enter, post, share while you're on the internet, right? Your accounts, your Facebook IDs, your Instagram IDs, your LinkedIn IDs, they're all part of your digital identity, right? And they link up to you based on your mobile number or the email ID that you provide. So spoofing to somebody's digital identity is very much easier today. And we see that a lot of time digital identities get compromised as well. So securing your digital identity is the need of the hour. Uh, the issue is that people today share a lot of information. So a lot of times fraudsters take advantage of our online interaction and they spoof our identities. Fake Facebook accounts are created, fake Instagram accounts are created, and then people reach out to your friends. Even fake WhatsApp accounts are created. Hence, we need to take precautions to ensure we minimize our to risk. So, very important to protect your digital identity. Basic of digital identities, how do you safeguard your privacy settings? So, you must reflect on what you're sharing. So, if you're traveling somewhere, I would strongly recommend don't do check-ins. It lets everybody know that you're away from home. I've seen people who've had their house compromised because they checked in at some remote place, which also not only told their friend but also thieves that nobody's at their house. So very important we check our privacy settings, what information we are sharing on platforms. Is it private? Is it public? And with whom all this information is getting shared. Also very important is you as a digital citizen must practice positive online behavior and respect community. A lot of times we've seen that people, as they go online, they become abusive and aggressive because they believe that they have created a fraud identity, or nobody can catch hold of them, or even if they're chatting with friends, a lot of times they use a lot of kind of language which is abusive and could hurt other people's sentiment. So maintaining a positive behavior online is very much important, and communicating with everyone respectfully plays a very, very important role today. Now, if we understand today, the cyberspace is taking us to a virtual space. And the virtual space today has its own virtual environment, and safeguarding digital identity is one of them. The other important aspects is how does business happen today? So one is business to business. So if you're working for a company or you will work for a company tomorrow, then that company would be doing business with other companies. So that's called as B2B. A lot of companies today provide services and goods to consumers. So that's B2C. So companies such as Flipkart, Amazon, you're buying a lot of material from those. So those are B2C companies, right? Then similarly, there are consumer to consumer based channels which are there today. So today you've got people who are say freelancers and are working for different organizations. So there are people who are news anchors, MCs. They do a lot of freelancing work. So that's consumer to consumer. So securing your digital identity and safeguarding yourself from activists is a very important aspect today. So if you look at today, security is looked at in three elements. One is called confidentiality, second is availability, and third is integrity. So confidentiality is that the information that you're sharing is available to people with whom you're sharing, not to third parties. So today, if you are sending your bank account details to somebody, then that bank account details is to that person only and not with third parties. Second is integrity. Integrity is basically ensuring that there are no access of third parties of that information. So today, say you share certain information with certain apps which you have downloaded. Now those apps, if reveal that information to third party, then there is an integrity breach. So third party access of your data leads to integrity breach. A lot of time it leads to compromise of your identity. Or say today you've created a digital identity on a platform, and that platform could be any e-commerce site, and they get hacked. Now your identity gets stolen. So that's integrity level compromise. The third element is availability. Availability refers to information being available when it is sought for. So today, if you look at, there's a new concept which is coming in, which is called as ransomware, right? In ransomware, what happens is hackers encrypt systems of people or companies and ensure that data is not accessible to them that is needed. So that ensures that availability of data is not there. So when we talk about cybersecurity, confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data plays a very, very vital role. And these are three elements on which we define cybersecurity parameters. So if you look at confidentiality, guarantee of reliable and constant access of confidential data, the process and tools for maintaining accuracy and trustworthiness of data. The purpose is to make the data is available when it is needed. So implementing confidentiality, integrity, availability provides protection against different kind of cybersecurity risks. So these risks include loss of privacy of individual, unauthorized access of information, identity theft. When it comes to integrity, it's unreliable information, biased fake information, fraudulent information. Availability, this could be business disruption, loss of customers' confidence, loss of revenue. Controls that we deploy, say for confidentiality, is using encryption. Encryption is primarily where you use public key and private key, a combination, to mask the channel or encrypt the data so that only the sender and the receiver is able to receive that information, right? So today you would see a lot of companies, including WhatsApp, claim that they have created end-to-end encrypted channels, or even Telegram and Signal. Authentication is how do you identify that the person who's accessing the information is the right person and not a fraudulent person. So if you look at, you access your Google account, they have created something called as multi-factor authentication. So apart from putting in your password, you also have to either share your token with them, which could be a OTP based token, or it could be a biometric based authentication of your fingertip that's there. Access controls refers to different kinds of controls which are put in. These controls are such as biometric controls, identity access management controls. So if you're entering office, there is a way you have to show your ID card, then only the gate opens. Those are access controls. Integrity, we look at controls of maker and checker. So somebody who's made a particular document, the validity of document is validated by a checker. Then elements like quality assurance, audits, these are integrity checks. Availability refers to controls such as business continuity, cyber resilience plans, backup storage, sufficient storage capacity. These are controls which are with respect to availability. So let's understand authentication and authorization. So factors of authentication: someone you know, a password or a PIN is created, something you have, a physical token or a card, something you are, a physical characteristic, like a fingerprint. So if you're accessing online account, adding a second layer of security, verifying your digital identity, and then securing your login. A lot of times you use CAPTCHAs to verify. This is where you've seen become very popular these days. Let's move to introduction of cybercrimes. So cybercrime is a criminal activity that either targets or uses a computer or a computer network or a network of devices. So what happens in case of cyber attack? Hacking groups either compromise your personal identity by taking away your data, your money, or your digital identity. This could be both personal and professional identity. when we talk about hackers hacking politicians, it impact political careers in terms of disclosing information about a politician or government. Uh, Hackers, when they attack businesses, this leads to data theft, blackmailing money. Then typical types of outside attacks which we see in organizations is cyber criminal groups such as Anonymous, uh, professional hacking groups that are there. Typical attacks include insider attacks, which attack employees, former employees, business partners, and supply chain partners. Types of cybercrime which impact you today: identity theft, cyberbullying, trolling, phishing, denial of service attacks. So, identity theft, illegal use of data, transfer of data to a third party with an unlawful intent. Now, the source of information could be social networking sites, people search engines, uh, right? Gathering information, finding your contact information, birth information, utility information. Process of identity theft is people will create fake accounts. They will take data, create fake accounts, and then do frauds which could target your bank account, target your shopping centers, online shopping websites, target your company by appearing doing something which will cause harm to you. And there could be other cards. So this could include credit card using somebody spending money, unauthorized access, using your fraud identity. So using your full name, bank account number, birth information, utility bills, people create fake identities today. Now, cyberbullying is another element that we see as the big risk, where certain people are aggressive and intentionally act against other people. And we've seen in 1/3 of children are vulnerable to cyberbullying. So, online harassment are common types where teenage girls are bullied. Trolling refers to a person who posts or uses messages in offensive manner, and trolling is done online in groups. Let's understand phishing. Now, phishing is where somebody sends you a mail which appears to come from a relevant a person, but it is actually come from a third party. So the attacker uses victims' credentials to access the website. Attacker collects victims' credentials. A phishing website is set, and victim clicks on emails and goes to the phishing website. So instead of, when people send you these emails, instead of links which have come from the original, the email ID comes from a third party. And a lot of times they lead you to clicking on links which are not original links but are of third party. So today you'll receive emails, messages, say from SBI cards, but the email ID would be, say, from third party, and they will basically be using a third party setup which will appear to be like SBI cards, but where you will be forced to share information. And once you share that information, your digital identity could get compromised. Types of phishing: email phishing, spear phishing, whaling, smishing, wishing, angler phishing. These are types of phishing which happen today. Another element which we see is that applications that you're accessing, they get hacked. Their identity authentication controls are taken away. User and session management is hacked. Encryption level controls are taken away. Error and exception handling, audit and log is taken away. So attacks which would include brute forcing, dictionary based attacks. Servers, hackers would attack the application server. You look at authentication techniques. These are typical elements where attacks happen. One such attack is called as denial of service attack, where DOS, denial of service, means the attacker shuts down the machine or a network, makes inaccessible to the users, floods the target with too much amount of traffic that the website will become they will stop reacting. So popular denial of service attack include buffer overflow, ICMP flood, SIM flood. So the website will be flooded with so much amount of information that it will not be able to cater to its requirements, right? So these are denial of service attacks. There's another called as distributed denial of service attacks, where we use a network of botnets, which are basically codes which are created and they appear to be coming as users, and they attack an organization, and it appears that there's a lot of traffic which is there, and the user organization is not able to handle the traffic, and ultimately the website stops responding or crashes. Now, actions that can be taken by individuals. Check if you're already been compromised or not. Use strong password authentication. Use multi-factor authentication. Never trust on emails, compromised web pages. Never keep simple passwords. Use complex passwords. Secure your personal devices with multi-factor authentication. What organizations could go to: protect files, take backup, access information, secure servers. So this is what I had for today, which I wanted to cover with you. If there are any questions, please feel to share with me. Any questions anyone has? If you've got any questions, please type it at the chat window.
Okay, so everyone can put in their questions in the chat. Okay, so we have a question here. Okay, so she says that I believe the increasing cyber attack are happening due to lack of or ignorance towards cybersecurity development with increasing technology. What is the actual reason?
The actual reason is the users are not aware about how to safeguard themselves. So today, people share their passwords, click on malicious links, share OTPs. This is the reason. People don't use multi-factor authentication. Never share your identity, your bank account information with third parties, even friends, family. You might give your bank account details to your mother, but your mother might not know that it should not be shared with any of your friends or third parties. Never share your credit card, but don't put your debit cards on e-commerce websites. Don't allow automatic use of debit cards or credit cards. This is one of the reasons. The attacks are becoming much more complicated. People download apps which are insecure. So taking loan is very much easier. And most of the people become vulnerable because they take loans from apps, and these apps will then access your contact list, and they will start calling your friends, your family. They will bully you. So I think very important that you don't invest or take money from digital sources. So strongly discourage from people making investment in cryptocurrencies right now, because 90-95% of the cryptocurrencies are all fake. They are basically MLM scams. Only few cryptocurrencies are there, and you cannot decide. So strongly discourage from people in investing in cryptocurrencies at this stage, unless you've been experienced. Then don't invest in MLM schemes. Don't invest in loan apps that are there. Don't take money from loan apps. Safeguard your identity, protect your identity. Don't share information which you think can cause harm to you tomorrow. Don't share intimate pictures with friends, even if people are in relationship. Don't share that information. You don't know where it will be used, misused. People will start asking for money. In terms of reporting, if you've got face any cyber issues and police is not responding, then you can today also report the complaint. There is a national cybercrime portal which is there today. I'll share the link of the national cybercrime portal. This is the cybercrime portal where you can report cybercrime. This is set up by the Ministry of Home Affairs. People can share links.
Yeah, very
Another
useful.
Another element that we have seen today is that people are okay. Are there chances of forgetting complex passwords from multiple websites? So, what would you the solution for this issue? Okay. Complex password. Strongly recommend maintain a backup drive. Have a hard drive or a pen drive. Encrypt it. Create a encryption in it. Right. You can put it with a password. Create a file in that and store your passwords. Create a folder password there and encrypt that file. That's the best way. Offline backup. Use a pen drive or a hard drive, not very expensive. Encrypt it. Keep your confidential document there, right? And store it. Another way, complex passwords, very difficult to share. Use biometric. So today on my device, I use biometric system, right? So authentication. So if you have to access, use authenticator services on your mobile phone. There's an authentication service which is there. So I'll just showcase on my system. I use authentication. There are multiple authentication layers, passwords which I use today. So these are authenticators which I use. So instead of passwords, I just had to put my biometric and it's taken care. These are two techniques which I would recommend. Any other questions?
Okay,
Yeah,
we
we
have a
have.
question.
Yeah.
If you fall, yeah, continue.
If you fall for phishing, now phishing can be that somebody is asked you to click on a link and your device has got stolen. So multiple elements. If you change your passwords when you fall fish, have phishing, format your machine, format your system, the laptop, format your phone, uh, right? Change passwords, use multi-factor authentication, inform friends and family so that tomorrow somebody else can't do it. So this is there uh, to safeguard. So these are some of the measures. Companies today buy cyber insurance. If you're working for a company, companies today buy cyber insurance. So if any cyber attack happens on them, then through insurance they are protected. Any other questions?
Okay, we have a question. Who are the black hat, white hat, and gray hat hackers? Can you explain a bit about them?
Sure. So black hat are people who do hacking typically for organization for either they are paid or they do it for making money. So somebody who hacks an organization and commands a ransomware on it is a black hat. Okay, is a black hat. Somebody today who does a security assessment for a company and informs that company responsibly instead of sharing it in dark web or with other hackers is a white hat. Is a white hat person. So you would see that a lot of people today do responsible bug bounty programs. So once they find a bug in an organization, instead of sharing it with third parties, they would responsibly report it to the organization and companies pay. So these are typically white hat. Now there are people who are gray hat. Now gray hat hackers are typically who would share some, it's a mix of white and black. So one, they would do some amount of work to stay, paid, take care of their income. But in a lot of time, they would do responsible disclosure, where they believe it is against the society or it is against, the ethics. They would respond to those things, but they would say, for example, work for the government. So people who work for law enforcement agencies, so somebody who works for police, uh, and does hacking activity for them, but if they find that somebody they know or in the family is got compromised, they will help them. So those are typically gray hat people, right? So give you an example of today, Kevin Metnick, who was once a black hat, is a gray hat because he works also for the government, but also times helps people in terms of finding if they are attacked or not. Black hat hacking communities such as anonymous hacking groups are black hat. So black hat, you don't know the identity. White hat, you know the identity. Gray hat would be you would personally know you would partially know what they do, but their actual identity of hacking would be unknown to you.
Okay. So, any other questions? Okay, we have another question. How
Yeah.
effective is VPN in cybersecurity?
So VPN is important. So today, if you do any kind of cybersecurity work, a lot of times organizations would block your IP addresses. A web application firewall (WAF) would block, and a lot of times you can get backtracked. So today, when we do security audit assessments, red teaming, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, we use VPN to secure our identity. VPN are effective because they try and protect your identity. Let's look at accessing dark web. People access dark web through the Tor relay browser. So that's also kind of a VPN because it protects your identity. So VPN is very effective in cybersecurity too. As people are advancing, so are the attackers. So what are the measures to avoid falling prey to phishing? So one is when somebody is sending you an email, look at the header. A lot of times we miss out on the header, and the links that are shared uh, are typically links which are fraudulent. When somebody is asking you to pay money, when somebody is asking you to pay money, uh, call that person. If that person is not reachable, don't pay. Multi-factor authentication is something which you need to use. Strongly
Yeah, it has
recommend.
many
Right?
people.
Yeah. And then another element is which is very important is in phishing is people will compromise your system. So changing your passwords fortnightly or on a monthly basis is very effective. Uh, Phishing, most of the time people will reach out to your friends and family once they compromise your identity. They will reach out to your friends and family. So finding out that your contact list is not shared. So if you say on Facebook today, uh, ensure your friends are private. So those are some of the elements which are very important.
Yeah, that was very helpful. So, any more questions?
Okay, we have a
Okay.
question. Are all operating system equally vulnerable to rootkits? Is there any advantage to using one operating system versus another?
Are all operating systems equally vulnerable to rootkits? Is there an advantage of using one operating system versus others? So I think Apple is more secure compared to Android or Microsoft systems. So Apple devices are much more secure. So if you look at you know Apple operating systems which are there, Mac is much more secure. So people today are much more secure on a Macintosh based system compared to a Android or a Microsoft. Similarly, Linux based systems, whether it is Kali or Kali Linux and some of the other, they are much more secure compared to some of the others. I was strong, Apple systems are more advantageous compared to Android or a Microsoft system. So, in terms of security, Apple is much better in terms of releasing patch or reporting.
Okay. Next. Oh, can you throw some light on dark web? How much of a threat is it actually?
I think dark web is part of the internet which not everyone can access. You need to have uh, access to the Tor browser or set up VPN. So dark web, it's very important for. I would not call it a threat because today a lot happens on the dark web. But how do you safeguard yourself so your identity does not get compromised on dark web is very important. So I would not say dark web is a threat today. dark web is something that one must understand how it works. So let me just share my screen and explain what dark web is. I think that will be much easier for everybody.
Okay, so would you like to continue, sir?
You're able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're able to see
Yeah,
my
sir.
screen. So if you see today, you've got different databases, websites, Google website, e-commerce. Now this is called as the surface web. This is just 4% of the internet. 96% of the internet is comprises of dark web and deep web. And dark web, whatever is hacked is stolen, right? Is sold on dark web. So you'll find personal data of people, medical records, internet banking passwords, hacking groups. They operate on dark web because it's very difficult to find out the entity. So then there are portals. So the surface web or clear web is part of that, where we use browser every day and it can be indexed. Whereas dark web is part of deep web, which is very difficult to index. So dark web you cannot access through regular browser. We need particular applications or special proxies. The most famous dark web again is on the Tor network, and which can be accessed using the Onion link. Uh, Answering this question, what's on the dark web? So dark web, you will find a lot of FBI, CIA, law enforcement agencies which are there. They keep a track because you will find a lot of hackers. You will find a lot of terrorists. So drugs, narcotic substance, weapons, criminal activity, criminal gangs operate. So drugs and illegal substances are sold on underground marketplaces such as Silk Road, Wall Street, hacking community. So these are some of the dangers which we find on dark web. That's why we strongly recommend people not to access dark web, right? Because if your identity gets compromised, then a hacker can hack into your system. Using Tor browser is a secure way, right? So this is an important aspect which you have seen in dark web. So this is say one screenshot of dark web which I'm showing to you. So this is a Silk Road 4 marketplace. Drug listing is there. Drug shipped to India is there. People a lot of time try and buy or sell, but a lot of law enforcement agencies such as Narcotics Control Bureau, Central Bureau of Investigation, police, they also maintain a presence to see what's happening. Right? This is another screenshot of dark web. You can see status, what's there. Safety tips to access dark web: maintain your anonymity, hide your IP addresses, stay anonymous because it could lead to compromise. Use Tor browser. Close your webcam when you're accessing dark web. Search engines which are to access dark web: Gram search engine, IceRocket, Anonymous, Deep Research, Toolstown, Freebase. These are there. So when you use a Tor on your computer, it creates an encrypted layer where your IPs are untraceable, and it decrypts information which are there, so your identity is protected. So Tor is the secure channel for accessing dark web. Using privacy, so PGP, pretty good privacy, is another element which you could use for accessing dark web. It encrypts. So this is the onion routing technique. So if Alice is sending the information to Bob, then the information which Alice is sending to Bob will not appear to come from Alice, but from a Tor relay link, which will be say R2, right? And this will keep on changing. So very difficult to compromise. A corruption say file happens in case of the first link, which is R1, can tell Alice is talking, but not to whom it's talking. So it's secure. Corruption as last name can tell if Alice is talking to someone, that's Bob, but not who. So onion routing is the best technique for accessing dark web. So Tor is a free software and an open network mitigates against tracking surveillance run by US. So why do we need Tor? Government masked and targeted surveillance, the business model of internet, surveillance threats for remaining anonymous, protecting against adversaries, hacking, mitigation. This is about Tor I wanted to share with you. Any other questions?
Okay, so questions. Okay. What is a CIA triad? How important is it in cybersecurity?
CIA triad is very important in cybersecurity because this is only most of the standards are created today, right? Uh, Let me just share my screen and should share something with you with respect to this. So if you look at today, there is a standard called as ISO 27001, and there is this standard called as ISO 27032 2012. This standard is to preserve confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. So the information residing in cyberspace, these standards are created. So they typically use and are governed by the CIA principle. So confidentiality implies here that only authorized person with whom the information needs to be shared should have information. So data in motion as it moves is enforced by encryption or through a network of sensitive data. Data at rest, whether it is any storage media which is server hardware, has encryption applied. Right? Integrity implies that we do not want our data to be accessible or manipulated by unauthorized persons. So data integrity ensures that only authorized parties can modify data. Availability applies to systems in data. It authorizes persons cannot get data to journal because of services. Then the data is considered as not being available. So it results in loss of revenue. And we can use this term as CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And it is used for all cybersecurity concepts today. So if I look at most of the cybersecurity standards which are created, they are created on the security CIA the triad. So when you will practice information security or cybersecurity, then this triad would be used today. So all your standards, ISO 27001, your NIST cybersecurity framework, all of them are based on today based on CIA triad. Any other questions?
So I think, sir, we'll continue with the question answer session in the end. You can continue with the content.
Sure. Yes. Anyone else has any other questions? Another element which you've seen impacting today is fake news and misinformation. So we've seen that today a lot of information is circulating on the internet, and it's very difficult for us to find out whether that information is for real or for fake. So very important for us to identify what is fake content, which is genuine content, right? So it's very important for you to identify fake content and not share it with people. So this is one of the key elements that one has to look into for safeguarding yourself.
Your voice is not clear.
Is, okay. Is it
Yeah,
clear
sir,
now?
it's cracking.
Yeah.
It's cracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just stop sharing my camera.
Actually, now it's clear.
Yeah, much better.
So let's talk about how do you practice online positive behavior. So way to practice online positive behavior is with whom you're talking online. So if you're appearing for an interview, you need to be respectful. placing ourselves in other people's shoes, treating everyone with importance, being open, being sensitive to the environment, right? These are some of the elements which are very, very important. So in digital language, it's very important to know your audience with whom you're interacting. So your behavior will vary when you're interacting with one person versus group, you're interacting with senior people from organizations, or you're interacting with a bunch of audience. So practicing empathy is very, very important in online engagement, right? So considering respecting and accepting differences. So a lot of times confusion happens while interacting online. So very important you accept the differences and move ahead. Net etiquettes require people not to be rude and to be polite. Creating your own personal code of conduct. Common traits of a cyberbully is people who are easily angered, usually violent with words and action, often tease and abuse. So these are traits which one should avoid. Otherwise, you will come in the category of a cyberbully. Common traits of a troll: always posting negative comments, copying paste large amounts of text, never tries to end the conversation amicably. Common traits of a predator: plays victim, pretends that they need to get help, and separates you from the people you trust. So another key learning is not to make friends online, uh, right? You never know who's there on the other side. Common traits of a scammer: focuses on getting your money by giving you information, background, or is not transparent, does not answer proper questions, and proposes scenarios which are too good to be true. How do I avoid danger conversations online? Don't be friend with strangers. Keep your personal details private. Don't engage with unkind people. Block, unfollow rude or suspicious people. Report bad behavior. How do you keep yourself safe on platforms like Facebook? Unfriend, unfollow, block. So FB has a blocking link. Click on that, which is there. Report abusive behavior. So if you unfriend, say on Facebook, Facebook will not notify the person, but you will be removed from that person's friend list. Uh, Unfollowing, you won't see that person's posts in your feeds, but you will still be friends with them. Reporting, whenever you something gets reported to Facebook, Facebook will review and remove anything that goes against the standard community. Blocking, automatically unfriends, and person will not be able to view, and you cannot view other person's information. How do you keep safe on WhatsApp? If you got unknown numbers, block them. Put up multi-factor authentication. Another type of new fraud which is going on today is something called as the call merging fraud. Now, what happens in case of call merging fraud is that you will get a call from unknown number and they'll say that they want to verify your identity, and a call will come to you and you need to merge that call. Never merge that call, because the hacker would typically try to merge your call from your mobile number to get the OTP. So OTP can be obtained in two ways. One is OTP which comes to you, or the voice-based OTP. In both scenarios, if the call is merged, then the third person will be able to know the OTP that you have received, right? Once the OTP is known to a third person, then your WhatsApp account can be taken over. I've seen people whose WhatsApp accounts have been taken over on their wedding day, and people have received friends have received links that, okay, if you want to give me gifts, don't bring the gifts in the marriage, click on this link or pay money in this account. So instead of getting gifts, this person lost his digital identity, his WhatsApp account, and messages kept on going on. All he did was he merged his call with another third person's call. So never merge, never pick up calls from unknown numbers. Video calls also, don't pick up from unknown numbers. Those are scamsters which are there operating, right? So that this is a very, very important element. Reporting messages: when you receive a message from unknown number for the first time, you have the option to report or block that number. You can also report a contact group on their profile information. Open the chat, tap on the contact group name information, scroll the bottom and report contact or report group. This is something you can do on WhatsApp. Now, end-to-end encryption message means that nobody can listen your WhatsApp communication. So there's no way to turn off end-to-end encryption. Another important element is you read through the policies. So Facebook has its policies. Very important, when you sign up to these policies, people don't read through these policies, right? Check your privacy settings, read through these policies, see how many apps you have given third-party access. Another big issue is plagiarism. The bigger picture is copyright. So when you access content, you need to understand what it is being used for. Accessing, buying, selling, staying healthy. So very important as a digital citizen that you don't copy content from others and use it. So as a digital citizen, you must practice communicating respectfully, avoiding online dangers by blocking, unfollowing, reporting whenever necessary. So how can I become a responsible digital user? Reflect on your digital self, connect with others responsibly, think critically before you put any kind of content which is there. So being a critical is tracing your digital footprint. What you're posting, how you're posting, connecting with others responsibly, presence of differences in perspective. What influences your perspective? Family, school, college, society. So presence of too much of information can lead to difficulty in working out what you can trust. So types of information: fact, opinion, false information, fake news. So fact is something that can be proven is true. Opinion that cannot be proven. Example, an apple. This apple is the only apple in the city. This can't be proven. Fake news, like I mentioned, product and information advertising. Right? In this scenario, say Rahul meets a friend who joined Facebook, and Rahul has been having a hard time distinguishing different kinds of information which he sees online. So here comes. So what type of information would someone post? News, personal posts, memes, ads, fake news. Right? What type of information would someone post if someone intends to make people laugh? You would see that people would either post a meme, ad, or a fake news. What would someone post to sell their products online? Either an ad or a fake news. So how would you verify that if somebody is selling is a verified product? Look at the reviews, ask for proof of payment, ask what the source is, check what else you can purchase, and compare the products. What would someone post if they want to harm or trick you? They would typically post fake content. Fact is news, false information is clickbait, false ads, edited information, fake news. Any other false information presented as truth. Opinions could be personal posts, gifs, memes, satire, and sarcasm. So how do you spot satire and sarcasm? Focus on the problem. Author tries to discuss what he sees as a problem in the society. Way it is written: humorous, exaggeration, irony. Right? Pause and reflect. Who has posted, what he has posted, why he has posted. Right? Look at the Facebook terms and policy. What are the things that you can look out to verify the truth? Can you check the information wherever else? If it is there on one website, it has to be there on other websites as well. Post, which can be viewed by you. Share live, which makes more views possible. Blocking, what you've viewed cannot be viewed by the person you have blocked. Reporting, we subjected to Facebook evaluation. Now, being a critical thinker is influenced by different bombarded perspective today. So when you get content, it's very important to identify: is it a clickbait? Are the images real? What is the source? What is the context? Can I check this information? What can I do to help my community so that we ensure that there is relevant information and shared and false content is minimized? So block, share, and report content. Tips for spotting fake news: be spectacle of headlines. Say, for example, all Anything that appears to be too good to be true. All Fridays declared as holidays. Look at the URLs closely. A lot of times URLs will be fake URLs. Investigate the source. Watch for unusual formatting. Usually on fake news, formatting is not there. Consider the images. These images might be from past. Check the date of the image. Check the evidence and look for other reports that have come in. Is the story a joke? Some stories are intentionally false. Think twice before forwarding these kinds of stories to other people. Use verified official sources. So anything that comes from third-party websites, right? One must be careful. If it's a false story, report it. So I think this is something which I wanted to cover. Any questions anyone has so far? Any questions?
Okay, so what a delightful session, sir. We surely learned a lot more things today about cybersecurity. And thank you so much for exposing to us the fantastic world of cybersecurity.
Yeah, sir, really enjoyed the session. Anyone has any query for sir, feel free to post it in the chat box. Yeah, we have a question. What are the response code that can be received from a web application?
So there could be different kinds of response codes, which could be links. This could be OTPs. This could be so. Depending on how secure the application is, you can have different kinds of parameters. Now, these parameters could be web links. This could be OTP based links. There could also be, you know, chat messages. So, as we see, web applications today are becoming interactive. So, chat based links through a chatbot could be there. It could be a message. It could be an email. It could also, web applications could also today be used for sending out messages. So where mobile applications are today getting integrated, so smart applications today could do much. Even voice notes can be sent through web applications. Any other question?
Okay, next question. Okay. So are there cybersecurity insurances available for individuals? And if yes, how recommendable are they?
So are cybersecurity insurance available? I think they are available today, and they are recommendable. Soon we will see this becoming more popular.
Okay, are there
So a
any
lot of companies today
questions?
are ICICI Insurance, Kotak, IFCO, all of them are coming out with insurance, cyber insurance.
Okay, that's great. Next
Yes.
question.
Any other question? There are a lot of various cyber scam. There are a lot of various cyber scam companies in India, and they scam in foreign money. What are your views on that? Yeah. So this is there. So if you look at today, cryptocurrencies have been banned in China, and China has come out with its own digital currency called as EU1. Now, what has happened is those cryptocurrency based companies have started tying up with Indian fintech companies. Now, these fintech companies, most of the time, their job is to give easy loans to people, right? So, loan giving apps is one of the biggest scams which are happening today, and I've spoken about this in multiple television channels. Uh, Now, today they are used for two things. One is for laundering money. So, what is laundering money? That you evade taxes and you move this money out of this country. The other is typically for consumer frauds, frauding people. So there are a lot of new loan apps which will give you, loans at easy installments or easy interest rates, but they are too good to be true, because as soon as you take loan, you will give away your information. So there are a lot of times where money will be deducted from your account as EMI, and then they will claim they have not received the money, right? And loans can be given by only RBI registered organizations. A lot of time these organizations are not registered with RBI. So when you're taking a loan, you have to ensure that these fintechs or banks are registered with RBI. So taking money, exposing your bank account, could put you into trouble, because then they will start blackmailing you. If any one of you face such issues, very important you report it to police. So today police is going after such criminals, but these are evading in at mass level. So best advice would be not to take loans from apps. Report abuse. If you're in Maharashtra Cyber has a great cyber police station, right?
Yeah, I have
So you can,
information.
yeah. So Mr. Yashashvi Yadav heads is the Inspector General for Maharashtra Cyber. He has a great team. You can work with Maharashtra Cyber's team. There are a lot of. Okay, so I think I've answered this question. Yeah.
Next question. How computer virus is related to cybersecurity?
How computer viruses are related to cybersecurity. So computer virus, worms, trojans, they're all used for concealing information or tricking people to click on malicious links, right? So if you've got computer viruses on your systems, then you are vulnerable for confidentiality, integrity, or availability of information getting compromised. So either data could be made unavailable, or confidentiality could be compromised. Data can be accessed by third party, uh, or integrity of that information could be there. That information could be, changed. Right? Those are some of the risks. So if you go at the CIA triad, that gets impacted because of computer viruses.
Okay, another question. Are Google, Facebook, and other sites safe enough for us? Because the search history and all the data is being sent to them.
So Google, Facebook, and I can't say about other sites, but I can say about Google, Facebook. They spend millions of rupees on their site on securing their users. The biggest issue in case of Google and Facebook, which happens today, is that people don't follow what best practices they have given. For example, Google mandated multi-factor authentication. How many of you started using multi-factor authentication? Right? Google has this option of telling you if your email IDs got compromised, have you gone and changed your password? Right? So people don't follow best practices, while Google and Facebook have plenty of cybersecurity and privacy controls. We don't exercise those controls. So privacy settings, say on Facebook, how many of us have checked our privacy settings? Remove third-party apps. Ensure that your location is not being traced by Facebook or Google. In search history, a lot of data is available, but what you allow to be shared plays a very, very important role, right? Don't share your location. Limit your privacy settings. Change your settings. They give you option. The more data you give to them, they can use that data for ads. But sharing their some information online is always the best practice. Or limiting what is there by changing your settings.
Okay, another one.
Yeah.
Is our information technology department at the government offices staffed appropriately to manage a breach?
See, this is typically varies, right? You've got central government, you've got state governments. So for me to comment on how appropriately staffed they are to manage breach, it will be unfair. but it keeps on varying from state to state. So, for example, I can talk about Maharashtra state because I've worked with Maharashtra state. I think Maharashtra state has some fantastic staff, trained staff. If you look at Maharashtra Cyber, they are one of the most advanced cyber organization in this country. The kind of cases they have investigated, their office, they are fantastic. I would say. So I can only talk about states where I've done work. Even I've seen in Assam, fantastic. Telangana is amazing as well. Kerala also as a state has some great staff who are appropriately staffed. So in general, I don't want to comment on are they appropriately staffed. It will not be right on my part.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Great. If there are no further questions, then thank you so much for inviting me for this session. Really appreciate. I enjoyed my interaction with the students who are present today. Feel free to write to me. Uh, I'm sharing my email ID.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. It was great to have you. And now we'd like to present you with a small token of gratitude.
If people want to apply for internship at our organization, India Future Foundation, I'm sharing our HR's ID as well.
Sure, sir. We're really grateful to have you, sir. Our participants surely learned a lot more new things today and in the field of cybersecurity.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Great.
sir.
Great. Thank you. Let me just take a screenshot of this so I can keep this with myself, the online token. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, sir.
All right. Have a pleasant day ahead. Appreciate it. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Have a great day,
Yeah,
sir.
bye, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so it's time for quiz, guys. So buckle up. The link to the quiz is posted in the YouTube chat box, and you'll have 10 minutes to complete it. Give it your best shot, and you'll be able to keep your spot on the scorecard.
So before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to enlighten the participants on the point system. Okay. So each webinar consists of like 10 MCQs for 50 points, that is 5 points each, and a scorecard will be available at the end of the day, so on our official Instagram account, Discord server, as well as our WhatsApp group. So yeah, start attempting the quiz now.
Quiz, yeah. Okay, so I hope everyone has attempted the quiz. You will be able to see the results and the scoreboard at the end of all the sessions today. So, further, we'd like to express our gratitude to our sponsors for the support, starting with IMFS, our title sponsor. IMFS, founded in 1997, was the first institution in India to deliver expert coaching examinations as the GRE, GMAT, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS, and PTE. They provide professional counseling as well as platform with huge and active alumni network and strong links to cover over 500 institutes across the globe.
So next up is Aurora Coaching. Aurora Coaching is an educational partner. It is a crypto coaching service which seeks to educate and empower people and organizations about the world of cryptocurrency so that both may approach it with some confidence.
Our streaming partner is StreamYard. On the StreamYard platform, you may broadcast over social networks directly from your browser. Before choosing the premium plans to gain access to more features, it provides a free option that you may test it out. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of you for being such an attentive audience. The skills you learned today will be used in the hands on session, which will be conducted tomorrow. So, good luck to everyone.
We hope you enjoyed the session and hope to see you all in the next session that is on 5G and IoT security at 3:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.